Do, 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 do. Living a dry. Do, do, do. But live and let die. Burn. Do, do, do. Live and let die. Do, 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 do. All right, we'll put some things in the things. Do, do. All right. Oh, where's that at? Click on the things. Click on the things. Loving the things, and I click on the things. If you're joining us right now, we're just getting set up. Just clicking the buttons. Doing all the button clicking. I love button clicking. It's kind of my deal. And we'll be starting here in a moment. I'm letting everybody know that we're going to be here. Haven't let anyone know yet. You guys are the sneaky ones that just kind of slid right in. Do, 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 do. There we go. Click. Boom. Good. Good. Click. Click. And send. Hey guys. I'm still getting set up. I'm sending out the word to everybody. I'm just publishing that out everywhere right now. So I'll be joining you momentarily. Talk amongst yourselves for 2 or 3 moments. And I will be joining you guys here. Hold on. Click. Finding my links and then copy, paste right now. Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodoo. All right, publish that. Yeah, let people know about it. Let people know. All right, let's let people know over here. Oh, shoot, let's let people know over here. Let's let people know everywhere. Should I let people know on the tweeters? Why not? Why not? All right, tweeters. All right, tweeters, here I come. Tweet. And click. Boink. And let the Patreon people know. Gotta let everybody know. Everybody must know. Confirm. Public. Publish. Is that it? Did I do it all? I think I did it all. All right. All right. Did it all. The bells. Hey, JP Dashes. How you doing? What's happening, Hank? Shall I kick the door in and say that Linux sucks because there is no way you can manage the settings of 100 Office PCs remotely, effortlessly? Yeah, actually, bulk management of systems in a big organization really is a big problem on the Linux side of things. There's some things that are nice about it, right? Like if you set up like a personal repository, So here's what I do. Here's what I do with that sort of scenario. So let's say you've got an office with 50 computers. Let's say 100 computers, right? 100 office PCs in your office, in people's home offices, in offices scattered around the globe. And you need to be able to manage all of them, right? There are certain things that Linux really sucks about, and that is dealing with like the things you talk about, like the group policy stuff, the user account type stuff. And what a lot of people end up doing is using essentially Active Directory stuff in order to make it happen, which is ridiculous, patently absurd. The one nice thing about managing a bunch of Linux machines is that you can do your own private repository. So you could take, let's say, a respin of Fedora or OpenSUSE or Debian or whatever, and set up your own repository so that nobody in your organization can get software or will get updates unless you put it there. And that's kind of nice. And what's nice is setting up those repositories is really easy. I don't think a lot of people realize just how bland and dull, like let's say a Debian repository is. So like it's really just a web server with a pre-described folder structure and some text files. It's that works pretty well. I mean, that's kind of a nice way to go. So in that scenario, Linux works great. As soon as you want to talk about group policies and user account management and whatnot, so Hank asks, I agree with the repositories, but how would I lock settings down, assign printers and network shares and the like? Okay, so one thing that you can do, here's the problem. The problem is doing that sort of work in, let's say, a just generic off-the-shelf Linux distro is a royal pain in the butt, because while it's easy enough to do on one machine to say, here's all my settings, here's my printer settings, here's what the user accounts can do and whatnot, as soon as you get it out to other people's machines, and it's hard to remotely administer that across hundreds of machines. But what you can do is run your own distro, and that's less scary than it sounds at first glance. You just take something like let's say Fedora. Let's settle on Fedora, because making a respin of Fedora is a really simple process. Look up Fedora respins. Inside that, set up everything you want to have set up and put your settings into a single package. So if you have, so set up your desktop, right? And have all the other Fedora desktops or the Fedora respin desktops in your company all on the same network, and they only point at your repository, and they all are set to auto grab and auto update on a particular package. And so when you want to make a change to everyone's setups where you want everyone to get new printer settings, new security settings and whatnot, you change it on your machine in that, and then put those files in that package, and then push out that, and that update goes out to everyone else, and make sure it's set up on their machines to auto grab those updates with high regularity. I mean, that's one of the best ways to do it. But you're right, it's not, we lack the tools to do it properly. Because we have to come up with all these little kind of kludgy solutions. The problem is per user in field changes. For example, you may want to automatically deploy packages based on the department and who logs in, or have printers based on location. Yes. Now that's where the whole thing falls apart, and Hank's totally right, 100% right. Because if you have a simple, like, monolithic style organization where you have universal settings, using Linux to administer it is very doable. We're lacking some tools to make it easy, but it's very doable. But as soon as you have to have, exactly like Hank says, as soon as you have to have departments that need separate configurations, separate printers, separate security settings and whatnot, oh man, it becomes a nightmare fast. And you end up with a scenario where you have to have maybe different departments subscribe to different repositories or different packages. And Hank says, because the bottom line is I am a Windows administrator by profession. As much as I'd want to, I simply cannot use Linux for my job. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. It is a royal pain. It is a royal pain to do that sort of thing. Alex, yes, we are talking about sysadmin stuff on Linux. I'm having a beverage today. We got the AHA caffeinated sparkling water with black tea and mango. It's tasty as heck. Hold on. Oh, yeah, you hear that? That's good stuff. That's pretty good. Boom, to live and let die. Have you guys heard this is a total side note. So Weird Al Yankovic had a Live and Let Die parody he did, right? So Live and Let Die was the Paul McCartney song that was the theme song of Live and Let Die, the 007 movie, right? Well, Weird Al wrote a parody of it called Chicken Pot Pie. And instead of Live and Let Die, it's Chicken Pot Pie. Right, and it's otherwise it's still kind of the same song, and so Weird Al reached out to Paul McCartney and is like, "Hey, is it cool if I release Chicken Pot Pie?" And Paul McCartney's like, "No, you can't do Chicken Pot Pie because I'm a vegan and I don't want people to think that I endorse eating chicken." And so Weird Al was like, "Oh, but it's a really funny song. It's about chicken pot pie." And Paul McCartney's like, "No, please don't do it, Al. I'd really appreciate it if you didn't do it." And so Weird Al was like, "Man, Paul McCartney asked me nicely to not release chicken pot pie, so I won't." But Weird Al still does chicken pot pie live in concerts. So he'll do a live show where it's chicken pot pie. It's like, oh man, that needs to make it. If you look on the internet and you look for Weird Al Chicken Pot Pie, you can find some people that have recorded live concert recordings of it. It's fantastic. I've never found like the full length version of it anywhere though, with a good quality audio. I would like to find that. All right, everybody. So here's what we're doing today. So we're going to be talking about how much Linux sucks today. This isn't the Linux Sucks show, but since Linux Sucks is... Oh, darn it, I've lost my thing. There's my thing. Since Linux Sucks is just over a week away, it is 1 week from tomorrow. Now I want chicken pot pie. Since it's 1 week from tomorrow, I thought we'd talk a little bit about, we'd complain about a little bit about Linux, just as a casual hangout, right? Because why not? Let's complain about Linux. Maybe we can solve some people's problems. Maybe we'll just gripe and moan and whine and complain, and that'll be enough. Also, we're going to try and get to 100% of the Londuke Journal's subscriber goals. We got to, earlier this week when we did a live stream, we got to, in one day, we got to over 50%. And since then, we're now up over 70%. And let's get to 100%. Let's make it to 100%. I'm going to make this point now because the deadline is here. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Dude, now I've got that song stuck in my head. So if anyone wants to become a founding member subscriber, I want to make mention that if you do want to do that, today is the day you want to do that, because there are 4 things happening, with 3 that are kind of one-off special things that have a hard deadline of tonight. The first is that you can get, if you're a founding member subscriber here, let me put this link in the chat so people can have it as well. If you're a founding member subscriber, you can get your name listed in Linux Sucks. So it'll be on the ending screen. We'll have the credits. I'll still be talking about some stuff and joking about some things at the very end of the show, but you'll have your name in Linux Sucks. So if you've ever been like, well, that would be cool to have my name in an absolutely ridiculous Linux Sucks show that gets viewed by a ridiculous number of people, There's your chance right there, buddy. But because Linux Sucks is a week from tomorrow, in order for me to have time to make sure I double check everyone's names and get it all formatted right, I've got to cut things off at midnight tonight so I can start working on it this weekend. On that final slide. Also, coming up later this month, I have a new adventure game coming out called Londuke's Quest. And if you've seen my comic strips, you know what the game is. It's basically a playable adventure point and click version of my Londuke comic strips. It's fantastic. Same art. I mean, more art, but same art and same style. You walk around, you've got a little PDA you can use that's running Linux, which is a really, really weird thing. You can just have a good time. It's very much an old school point and click, and it's actually developed using some of the Sierra tools, which is cool because check this out. This is a totally real thing. And I'm going to do a big series of articles on how I did it because it's so weird. I mean, I'm not the first person to do this, but it's the first time I've done this. So I developed it with the Sierra Creative Interpreter tools. And it's the same basic engine that ran games like Space Quest 4. Same engine as Space Quest 4. So what that means is the game is playable under Scum VM. So if you have Scum VM running on Linux or whatever, you can play the game under that. Also, all the Sierra Creative Interpreter games have an executable. The old Sierra games called Sierra.exe. If you take my game and put it, say, in a DOS folder next to that, the right version of that executable, which I will document, you can run it in DOS too. Cool. Ben, sorry if I missed it. How do you want us to contact you for the credits? So I'm going to be sending out an email. So here's how this is going to work for the credits stuff. I'm going to be sending out an email later today. Actually, it'll probably be the first thing tomorrow morning with a couple of things in it. One is going to be, let's verify everyone's name is correct. So if you're already a founding member, you will receive an email sometime tomorrow morning, my time, so Central Standard Time. And I'll be double checking your name, how you want your name to appear, if you want your name to appear at all. That'll be your opportunity to opt out. As well as I'll be providing you guys a link for the next founding member hangout, which takes place tomorrow as well, a little later in the day, and for us all to hang out. So I'll be sending out an email to all the founding members anyway. There's nothing you need to do. If you don't get an email me, brian@lunduke.com, or just send me a message on any platform I exist on. Locals is great. Patreon is great. You can hop over on Twitter is fine. You can send me a direct message there if we follow each other on Twitter. Whatever. You can get a hold of me anywhere. But the easiest way is brian@lunduke.com. Get a hold of me if I haven't sent you an email, or if your email got sent into some spam folder, which half of all the emails going to Gmail seem to go into a spam folder. But yeah, so that's how that's going to work. So we've got that. So your name will also be in the credits for Londuke's Quest. Again, I have to cut that off because the game is complete at this point outside of bug fixing. So I've got a couple of bugs that need to be fixed and squashed. There is a scene of dad jokes. A very nerdy dad joke scene, a whole scene dedicated to it that I'm still kind of finishing up and putting the polishing touches on, getting the pacing just right and whatnot. But otherwise, the game is complete, except for the credit screens. And there's going to be 2 credit screens in the game. One is when you beat the game, the ending credit screen, and then the other one is just a credit screen that's just available at any time for people to look at in the game. So if you want your name in it. Patreon's okay. JP Dashit says Patreon is okay. Cool. It's fine. Yeah, you can message me on Patreon. There's hundreds of people over on Patreon. It's fine. Patreon's not my first choice for ways to subscribe to the Londuke Journal. It really is not. It's not my favorite. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but quite honestly, one of the big things is that I don't love the performance of the website. It's lacking a lot of features that Locals and Substack provide for me. Like, for example, I can have a video file. Like, so I can say I'll record a bunch of shows at Londuke Fest. I record Linux Sucks, right? On Locals and Substack, I can host my video right in those platforms. Patreon can't do that, right? And so there's a lot of just things like that. If people are on Locals, if you subscribe to me on Locals, right? If you're part of the Londuke Journal community, you can type whatever you want and make a post on Locals that is top level, which means it's in the stream with my posts, right? So we're all kind of on an even playing field. Other people can come in and say, here's a picture of my cool retro computer setup, or here's my Linux desktop, and everyone else sees it, right? Because we're all kind of the same there. Patreon lacks that. Patreon's just missing some things. It just is. So whatever reasons people have for disliking Patreon, that's kind of my big thing there. All right. So and also. Oh, I lost my thing again. Also, I have a new update to Linux Tycoon 3, The OS Wars, that rolls out next week. That game's been out for a little while. It's lots of fun. It's all ANSI and text art and all that. And there's a new update coming out with some additional in-game events and some polishing and some additional things that got added. That users requested, and that comes out next week, and I'm adding in a credit screen for that. So if you want to be included in the credit screen, make sure you're a founding member by then. So basically 3 different ways to get credit in really cool things: two very funky video games, and then Linux Sucks. And then on top of that, we have a founding member hangout tomorrow. Now the founding member hangouts are regular. They'll happen every month. In fact, we had the last one was just a little over a week ago, and we're going to have another one, at the end of the month or so, and it's just a chance for us all to hang out. It's not like this, right? It's not just my head in a live stream. It's more like a Zoom call with all of us, and we just hang out and talk, and the last one was nice because it's just super casual. Everyone can talk to each other. It's not necessarily me talking the whole time. Like, I'm there and talking, but we just all chat. And it's a really great way for all of us to just relax and hang out and be with nerds and just kind of be friends, What platform do you use for those? For the hangouts, we're using Whereby. Whereby is nice because you don't need an account. You can just do it from the web client. Just go to the website and I send a link for everybody, and they can just hang out with us. There is an app for Whereby that works fine. Works great, as far as I can tell. But the website works good. So that's what we use. And it's everyone in a nice big grid of faces, and it's fantastic. Londuke does have a Mastodon account, but I have not logged into it or used it in many years. For oh so many reasons. Hey, dear Mr. Londuke, if we are talking about this, please let's discuss Snappack versus Flatpak. Snaps versus Flatpak, yeah. There is, needless to say, a portion of Linux Sucks 2022 dedicated to Snappy and Flatpak. And app image and other stuff as well like that. Fput says, Flatpak bad, Snap even more bad. I have very strong opinions on all of this. Very, very strong. And I'm actually... The slides for Linux Sucks that deal with the packaging, I'm very happy with. We'll see what you guys think. Did you guys see the slides I put in here? Let me see if I got this here. Where's this at? This one. Go here and check out this one. Check out the slide at the bottom. Go check that out. The slide at the very bottom has one from Sousa, and I would like to point out that picture is not doctored in any way. That is one that the Sousa marketing team released. We must always make fun of Sousa. It's fantastic. Vanshin, no problem. Okay. So Linux Sucks and Londuke Fest is on the 14th. So that's 1 week from tomorrow. The event runs all day. Like morning to night. You can find the schedule there. If you go to that link I just posted in there and go on over. One more question before you get on the Linux bashing. I see you dropped the one-on-one price to $300. So my question is, would my annual locals cost count towards that $300? Yeah, that would be fine, Ben. You guys notice I'm wicked easy. I am the worst businessman in the world because people come to me and are, like a good hard businessman will be like, no, this is the price. You're gonna pay the price that I set on the books, and I can't really do that. If people are like, you know what, I subscribed to you over here, but I want this new feature that you got, or an account on this other website, I'm like, okay, we'll make it work. Like I'm easy. Like I really want more people to be able to be involved and to have fun and to relax and to do fun things with me. So yes. So here's the thing. If there are things like the founding member subscriptions or that $300 level, which, by the way, so let me talk you guys through that because it's ridiculous. It's really, 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 really ridiculous. So the $300 membership, here, let me put the link in there so you guys can kind of follow along with this because it's totally goofy, and yeah. Yeah, so it's $300, and what it is, just down at the bottom here, is you get the founding member membership, right? Which you get all the extra goodies and their name in Linux Sucks and all that stuff and all the other subscription stuff. But then on top of that, because it's the extra fancy, extra premium thing, you get an hour of my time that's yours. And what will happen is we will do a video chat, you and me. And you can record it, or if you would like, I could record it for you and then send you the digital copy of it. And then you do with that whatever you want. So the thought of this is this. I'm a very weird person. I've spent years as a tech executive. I spent years as a marketing executive in the Linux and open source world. And so maybe you want some advice on setting up a marketing campaign for a tech product or a marketing campaign for something in open source, or you want to sit down and pick my brain on some topic related to that. Cool. Maybe you want tech support. Cool. Maybe you just want to hang out and tell each other nerdy dad jokes for an hour or just talk for an hour. That's fine too. Maybe you want me to read an article you wrote to you so you can record it and release it and do whatever you want with it. Maybe you want to interview me for a YouTube channel or a podcast. Whatever you want. Maybe you just want me to do takes on a voicemail message for you for an hour. Or some weird combination. It's whatever, right? I mean, this isn't for everybody. It's not. I include it kind of at the bottom of some of the pages where I talk about the founding member membership just because, but it's not for everyone. Some people are going to look at that and go, why on earth would I pay Londuke money to sit on a video chat with him for an hour? Other people are going to look at that and go, cool, I know what I could use that for. So whatever, that's what it is. And yeah, if you already are a regular member or a founding member level subscriber, the current amount you are a subscriber at, you can deduct from that $300, which is it's a $300 like perk, and just pay the difference. That's fine. Totally fine. Yeah. And you know, this is just kind of a fun thing. So anyway, yes, that's there, and that's rocking and rolling. Yes, Alex Bush, you can quote me on that. I am a very weird person. What is the Dogecoin exchange rate? All right. Okay. All right. Okay, you just paid the difference. Dude, that's really thoughtful of you, Ben. You got it, man. If anyone does, and I'll tell this to Ben and anyone else who wants to do the one-on-one thing, email me. I'll get back to you later today or you know, shortly after you email me, and we'll set up a time. And we'll just set up a time that's good for you. And if you give me a heads up on what you would like to use the time for, I can kind of, you know, prepare a little bit for that. You know, wash my face up, maybe brush my teeth. I brush my teeth anyway, but you know what I mean. And then we can get set up. The reason I ask for that is if you are, you have no idea. That's totally fine. If you want to wing it, that's totally fine too. If you want to save it, that's totally fine. However you want to do it, it's cool. I'm super easy. Yeah. For $300, you can surprise invite Londuke to an all-staff meeting at your company to present the slides he has no knowledge of ahead of time. Absolutely, I would do that. Absolutely. Someone mentioned when we were in one of the last live streams of getting that and then using it to have me do a code review for their company. So like at the next code review meeting, bring me in and have me code review it live to make the other developers cry. So just to make fun of the devs on their team for an hour, which I got to admit, that's the most ridiculous usage of the money I can possibly think of, and I approve deeply. But yeah, it's my only requirements here. I really only have one requirement here, is that I don't do swearing and such. So if you need me to like read something, it needs to be something that would be family friendly. That's my requirement, right? So I don't do like swearing and vulgar chit chat and whatnot. You know me, what I do. I've never been to FOSDEM Linux Fish. I have never been to FOSDEM, and I really would like to go to FOSDEM very, very, very much. That would be phenomenal. My hope is that Hank says if I did go for that perk, I'd probably just play multiplayer Infinite Zork for an hour. I gotta be honest, I kind of want to just do that anyway. But that's a great idea. What was I saying? Oh yeah, FOSDEM. So I would love to do that. I mean, I've been over to Europe a couple of times for conferences, but that was mostly back during my SUSE days. You know, back when I was running marketing, or back when I was in marketing for SUSE, but I was their only Linux marketing person. Like they had a whole team of people, but none of them used or knew much about Linux. I went over there for like SUSECon. We held SUSECon in Amsterdam, and yeah, we did that in Amsterdam one year, and then oh yeah, that's right. I went over there for just to visit family. I have family in the Netherlands, and so I've been over there before, and we spent some time in England and Ireland and whatnot. But I've never gotten a chance to be over there for FOSDEM, and I want to. So I'm hoping that, you know, maybe next year I could submit a proposal to go speak at FOSDEM, and we'll see if we can get them to take me up on that. That would be a lot of fun. That would be a ton of fun. I could ask you to help me debug the problems on my Debian server, right? I'm considering it. You totally could. Okay, so here's the deal. If you need me to do tech support for you, totally can. You want me to debug your Xorg configuration or try and figure out what the heck's wrong with your Debian server? Totally can. One thing to remember is I can't make any guarantees that I can actually fix it. I mean, I've got plenty of experience in that realm, but I can't make any guarantees. I can make this guarantee. If you were to say, have me help you for an hour with whatever tech support thing, debugging an Xorg configuration or whatever, that we would have fun. Because it would become goofy and there would be dad jokes involved. But I cannot guarantee that the end result would be a properly functioning Xorg or server. Fput says, can you help me with my rat poison configuration? Oh, Lord. I hate rat poison so much. Oh, my gosh. Yes, you know what? That's absolutely ridiculous. I hate rat poison. It's the worst window manager desktop environment thingy in the world. But if someone was like, Londuke, I'm gonna become a top level founding member, and you're gonna spend 1 hour with me, working with me on rat poison and do all that stuff, and you have to make it work great for me. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna get a little drink. Can I walk you through going full stallman for 1 hour? Sure can. I could even, yeah, I sure can. Though if you do that, if you have me walk you through going full stallman for an hour, oh man, I've got some suggestions. I recommend recording it and releasing it for people because if you're looking to jumpstart a YouTube channel, have me on talking about 10 ways that you can go full stallman and how to do it, and then you and me hanging out and talking about it, and then release it. Boom. Instant YouTube channel with subscribers. Yeah, it's true though. Once you go full stallman, you can never go back. Once you do it, that's it. It's over. You're full stallman forever. You can't once you eat the stuff off your foot. That's it. It's done. A stallman reaction video. Sure. This really is pretty good. This AHA mango black tea sparkling water. That's good. It's got a little bite to it. I like it. I like that. Once you go herd, you can't go back. I should probably do a video about going full stallman regardless. I guess so. So, I mean... Richard's always been pretty nice to me, you know, like we disagree. Richard and I disagree on if you listed 10 random topics, Richard and I would disagree on at least 8 of them at any given point. I mean, we just disagree on a lot of stuff. I also strongly disagree with the way Richard goes about a lot of things. And I have told him all of this repeatedly. But he's always been very nice, very kind to me. I mean, I've heard lots of stories about Richard where things have gone a little off the rails around Richard. And I've got stories if anyone wants them. But he's always been kind to me. And I've always enjoyed talking to him. He's a very unique person. And yeah, that it's funny. Richard is one of those persons where like you're trying to think about how to word talking about and describing Richard, and it's not the easiest. Like that would be a great video. Could lead to a collaboration too. Okay, what did Alex say? Did you ever consider reacting to the Linus Tech Tips Linux Challenge videos? I know you were looking for other new things to do. I've never done a reaction thing. Like I don't really do reaction videos, I guess. It's not a bad idea though. I did watch the Linus Tech Tips Linux videos because they were like a thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch this and kind of follow along with it. And there is actually a very, very small and brief Linus Tech Tips part in Linux Sucks 2022. It's very short. It's just like a one-off gag. But it does it is mentioned. Londuke is already 100% reaction. I'm reacting to you saying that right now. Reaction is the wrong word. More like commenting on their issues and concerns. Yeah. Londuke, I would interview you for video, but I am shy. That's fair. That's totally fair. Londuke, since the topic is Linux sucks, you always have the point that X11 is old. It's so old that by now all of the quirks have just been bypassed. Do you think Wayland sucks less? Oh no, I think Wayland sucks way more than X11. Wayland versus Xorg is a. I mean, it's a big topic because I mean they're fundamentally similar, but Wayland lacks significant features that an X server has, and I think that's a major bummer. I think it's. Here's my thoughts. Just one round of things. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. There are X Windows implementations for darn near every platform, right? There's X Windows implementations for DOS, right? Like Desk View X, where you can have two machines, a DOS machine running Desk View and then a Linux machine over here, or an HPUX machine over here. And you can run, because you can forward them around because it's an X server, you can run your Unix or Linux applications over on DOS, or vice versa. And that's cool. Like, and I know you can do certain things like, you can, just remote desktops and whatnot, but I don't know, or VNC into things. I like having the options with an X server. I think it's very cool, and I think losing that with Wayland, I think is a big loss, because there's because even if you re-implement that functionality on top of Wayland, you're losing that 40 years almost of X server implementations that are out there. I mean, that's a lot of them for a lot of platforms, and losing that, man, that'd be a bummer, right? So I do kind of keep that around. Hey, Greg, welcome to the chat. Possible debate topic: when proprietary is more appropriate than FOSS, or vice versa. Oh boy, I am not. And you guys feel free to chime in on this. But I am both a free software extremist and a pragmatist that likes closed source. And I know that's like those are opposing parts of the brain that causes and anger and all that sort of thing. But, realistically, not everything needs to be released under a GPL license. Not everything needs to even be released as open source, certainly not all the time. What I personally like, this is my personal take, is some projects just have no real need to be some sort of big community-driven open source free software thing, right? Some projects just don't need that. So when that's the case, if it's closed source, it's fine, until you get to a point where the software is not supported anymore. And then you're at a point where, well, it really should be open source just to be able to maintain it from a historical perspective. And a good example is, let's say MS-DOS or Windows 2.0, right? Okay, so let's say Windows 2.0. Is anyone using Windows 2.0 now? No, not really. Even if you love Windows of old, you're probably not running Windows 2.0. But from a historical perspective, being able to preserve it, being able to study it, be able to recompile it, all of those things have real value. And so releasing the source code to it under any of a variety of different types of license, MIT, public domain, GPL, whatever, is great. it makes a lot of sense, a huge amount of sense. But it doesn't have to be free software all the time. Typing the Roofree's typing this from Windows 2.0. Boink. I'm getting all the a bunch of these messages that are coming through are for some reason not are getting a spam checked or whatever by the default YouTube filter. I'll try and stay on top of showing those. I don't notice them when I'm rambling to the camera. Retropunk says, I want to be full stallman, but all the things I like are proprietary. Yeah, and Greg, yeah, like the 3D renderer that Microsoft just open sourced, right? Right. So that was a game engine that was used for Carmageddon and a couple other things, and then got released because it got released as open source because it was part of Microsoft's 3D Movie Maker, which is now open source, which is cool. Hey, Samantha, thanks for hanging out with us. Which is super cool, right? I mean, that's super cool. Honestly, those sorts of things should be done more often and with high regularity. The fact that Microsoft only did 3D Movie Maker is weird. I like to... Let me back up momentarily. I have a policy. I don't like to punish progress, right? So if someone, a company or a person has traditionally done things that I'm like, oh man, they just don't do things the way I would do them. But then they start doing things right. I don't like to say, well, yeah, but you didn't do everything else right yet. I like to say, hey, great job, right? I like to say, good job. Do a little bit more maybe, because that was awesome, right? Keep being awesome like that. I like to reward that sort of progress. And so when Microsoft releases the source code for this, for MS-DOS like 1.1, I think they did, WinFile, the file manager, when they release those things as open source, praise, right? Praise. Good job. A reminder maybe at the end of the piece that, hey, there's a lot more you could release. That would be super cool, but just the same, great job at what you did, right? Keep that praise up. But yeah, they totally need to do more. They totally need to do more. Yeah, sort of like a copyright expiration date, but for code, like how books enter the public domain. That's exactly it. They're just... So like when I release a piece of software, for example, I have not to at this point released the source code for Linux Tycoon 3, the OS Wars. I haven't done it yet. Not because I'm opposed to it. I just haven't done it yet. Right? Am I going to? Yeah. But the reason I'm going to is not to solicit people to join in the development of it, though there's going to be that opportunity coming up, which we will be talking about actually at Londuke Fest, very briefly anyway. But so that it can be preserved, so that if I stop working on it and there's some sort of horrible bug that makes it so it doesn't run on newer platforms, or some horrible bug that just a tiny tweak would make it work great, well, then yeah, I want that to be possible. I want people to be able to enjoy it 100 years from now. And in order to do that with software, you got to have the source code available. And so that's, for me, that's a really big deal. That's a really, really, really big deal. I get the weirdest messages. Here, hold on a second. I gotta click a thing real quick. I gotta click the thing. You know, that's just a thing Londuke does. Every so often he has to go click things. Now this is funny. So Greg, you just posted Londuke joins a Mennonite cult and gets rid of all his computers. YouTube was like, this is a dangerous message. You can't see this message. And I had to manually show it. What is the word Mennonite? Like a naughty word for YouTube now? YouTube was so weird, man. Oh, YouTube is weird. I am. Soul says I am sort of planning releasing my Atari 2600 game source code at some point, but after box cartridges are offered for sale, assuming it gets to that point, years from now-ish, 5 years from now-ish. I like that. Make something, make it closed source, fine, and then that's your passion project, that's your company's project, whatever. Closed source, open source, whatever you think works for you. But then there comes that point when you want people to be able to enjoy it so many years from now, or you want people to be able to learn from what you did, and you want it to be historically preserved. That's where releasing that source code is just so valuable, so terribly valuable. I don't understand, like, why has Microsoft not released the Windows 3.1 source code? It's really weird to me. I find it terribly strange. When Windows 3.1 was wildly outdated but still technically supported with potential clients, even if it was small, I understand Microsoft's reasoning for not releasing it. I get it. But now, I mean, maybe they're thinking they have some licensed source code in there that they may not have the rights to release. Well, if that's the case, release it all except for that. And then maybe the rest of us can come in and fill in those gaps with, newly created stub functions or libraries or whatever. But that would be really cool. Yeah, maybe they have code they don't want people to know they used. So Ben, I think, actually hit on the nail on the head there. When it comes to Windows 3.1, I think the reality is there's probably code in there based on what we know of certain lawsuits that because Windows was checking to see if it was running on DR-DOS or on non-Microsoft DOS, and if it was, it presented these little kind of fake error messages. So we know that that's a thing, and because there's potential legal ramifications there, they might not want people to see that. I mean, digital research is long since gone. DR-DOS has changed hands several times now, and isn't really supported by anyone in any way anymore. But I don't know. Crucial asks, how many years does it take Microsoft to publish a source code for a simple text editor as a code sample to see whether they are good at programming? Microsoft takes a long time to release things as open source. Should YouTube open source the code that filters these chats? They clearly need to, because it's busted. So much of YouTube is just terribly, terribly busted. Oh my heavens. Speaking of which, I kind of love the idea of increasing amounts of Twitter being open sourced. I know they're not talking. I know the Elon Musk isn't talking about open sourcing the whole gosh darn thing, but even increasing amounts would be nice. You know, I think that would be yeah. Elon Musk, hey, hit up YouTube. I really like to see it. Again, I don't like to punish progress. So when I see someone who's like, hey, I'm going to buy this company and release some of it as open source, well, okay, let's do it. That's great. I mean, is it only, 5% of the total like product that's getting open source? Yeah. I mean, it's 95% of it's still behind lock and key, but it's progress. I like progress. We reward progress, right? Right. Yeah, Alex, he said he would open source the algorithm. That's fantastic. Honestly, just a native Twitter to ActivityPub integration would be nice. Yeah, actually, that would be nice. Rasputin. I mean, the old CEO, the founder of Twitter. He talked a bit about how that was kind of his dream for Twitter. Jack wanted Twitter to be a very decentralized protocol that many people could build sites around and whatnot, but that he was bummed out because the way that he felt like it just got away from him, and Twitter just kept getting like monolithic silo, and he just didn't like the structure of it. So maybe, because I know Jack and Elon talked quite a bit before Elon did the buyout offer, so maybe that's in Elon's mind too. That'd be kind of cool. Brain fart, is open source the deep cause of the general move to application as a service? I don't know. Application as a service is just really great for companies' bottom lines, because they can have subscription models going, and it's fantastic. Or even more importantly, they can build their web application or their online application using open source and GPL tools, and no one really has to ever see their code for it. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? It makes it. It's an easy way to benefit off of the source code without really having to release much of it. I mean, because like Twitter, right? Twitter's a good example. Is Twitter built on top of open source code? Yes, tons of it, huge amounts of it. I mean, if you really look at the whole stack from the hardware on up, the vast majority of what Twitter is open source code. Does Twitter give back to open source? A little bit they do. They have some teams that do contribute to some various open source projects. Not as much as you'd think, but a little bit they do. They like to pretend they do a little more than they do. Same with Facebook. They like to pretend a little more than they do, though they do. Facebook does, contribute to a couple of open source projects as well. But the things that make it Twitter, the things that make it Facebook, we don't get the code for any of that. Yeah, if you can't do it by selling the code itself as a product, then you stand it up on a server and sell it as a service. Yes, that's the way. That's the way they've gone. That's the way a lot of companies have gone. This is what has ruined games. Release a bunch of untested junk, patch as you go, and micro purchase the heck out of it. Gosh, isn't that the truth? So that's why. So you'll notice with the games that I make, and I know my games are small, right? My games are small little passion weirdo projects. I mean, they're weird games. I don't do online connectivity at all. None. The games are standalone. This is the version of the game. This is what it is. And if I have a new version of it, I'll make it really distinct. So you can say, okay, this is a totally separate version of the game, right? With these specific changes to it. And you can have them side by side if you want to, right? And I've also tried to make a point of making the games that I have as user editable as possible and easy to mod as possible. Like, for example, in Linux Tycoon 3, all of the screens are in ANSI plain text files, right? So you can go in and modify those files with just a text editor if you want to, or you can use like an ANSI art program like the Draw, or there's a couple of good like Acid Draw, there's a couple of good ANSI editors, and you can change the whole look of the entire game just by editing those files. And I want people to be able to be free to do that, like I don't like push it on people. I don't even necessarily talk about it all that much, but like it's just kind of a thing I want to be able to have happen. The new adventure game I've got coming out is like an exception to that rule because of the way the tools work. People can edit it, but it's kind of a pain to do so. So while you can mod the game and pull artwork out of it and tweak it and whatnot, it's kind of a pain to do it. But with Linux Tycoon, it's just super easy because it's just text files, right? Need more of that in life. Hey, we got one more subscriber popped in. Most outstanding, everybody. So we are. Shoot, dog, I think we are at 90, somewhere a little over 90% of our way to our monthly goals. Shoot, nicely done, everybody. Oh, nicely done. You guys are fantastic. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Oh, man, I love that. All right. So it is May 6th. So we're going to hit 100% today. No doubt about it. I mean, at this point, it's just going to happen. We're going to get over the 100%. So we will, before the first week is out, hit the subscriber goals for May. Awesome. That is just, oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. Ryan says Londuke is preparing to coast the rest of the month. No, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Okay. So since we're going to clearly be hitting 100% here sometime today, right? Sometime today. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just not going to include any more of the banners or the hey, subscribe at the top of any of the articles. I'm just going to just get rid of those. I'll probably leave the little tiny ones down at the very bottom of the article. The whole, hey, have you heard about Londuke Fest? Click a thing. Right. I'll leave the little ones down at the bottom of the article. But otherwise, I'm just going to kill it, and then I'll just stop doing the kind of the hey, let's try and get to 100% type of posts, because I've had a couple of those this week because we were trying to get to 100% in the first week, right? But since we did it, I'll just stop doing those sorts of things, and I can just focus on everything else, which means that I can sit down maybe in the next couple of days, sit down with my spreadsheets, look over all the numbers coming up, make my plans for June for the next month, and just kind of not worry about it. And then as the end of May kind of approaches, I can relook at it and say, okay, how are we doing against the June goals now? So because then maybe we can just kind of coast towards getting the June goals done without having to make a big deal about it. We can just kind of hang out, we can do these chats, we can talk, we can schmooze. Shoot, it's amazing. So thank you, everyone. All right, let's get back over here. What engine are you using for your adventure game? The Sierra Creative. Hold on. Let me pull this up here for you guys, because this is kind of cool. Give me 2 seconds. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Bum, bum, bum. Is this here? Do. Okay. So, oh no, that's not it. Okay. So what I'm using is this. Let me paste this in the chat here. So the what I'm using is the Sierra Creative Interpreter, or hold on. Hold on, I'm getting it. I'm getting there. I'm almost there. Come on, load. I've got a specific thing I want to show you guys. I'm gonna get there. Here it is. Here's a better one. Okay, so it's the Sierra Creative Interpreter. Specifically, I am doing this one. So it is SCI1. So if you go down on that page, you can find SCI1, and some games on that page will give you a good example. King's Quest V, Space Quest 4. So all of the Sierra games in VGA, so 320 by 200 screens, right? 320 by 200, 256 color, mouse driven, where you move the mouse to the top of the screen, and then whoop, the little toolbar pops down, and you can kind of use that there. A second, let me click on a thing here. That is I just clicked on too many things. That is what I'm using. So that's what I'm using. And so what's cool is that means because there is a Sierra Creative Interpreter engine built into ScumVM, it's playable anywhere ScumVM plays, anywhere at all. When I distribute it, I'm going to distribute it by itself and then link people to ScumVM to go install ScumVM separately. But you can also play it in DOS using a Sierra.exe file from any of those SCI1 games that are listed there. So like if you have a copy of Space Quest 4 or Police Quest 3 or something like that, or King's Quest 5, you can plop my game next to it and it'll run. Developing it was weird because it's got its own little weird language. It's got its own weird workflow. It's got its own weird terminology. It's just wicked bizarre. It's totally, totally strange. But I kind of enjoyed the process because I'd never done something like using the Sierra Creative tools or the script utility for Maniac Mansion tools or any of those sorts of things. And there aren't amazing tools for doing Scum games. Though I would have liked that. That would have been really, really, really neat if that would have been the case. But it wasn't. But there are some tools. Let me see if I can show you guys some of this here. There are some tools. Oh, where's this? It's here we go. Like this one. And I use actually quite a few tools in the development of my game here. But that's one of the tools that I use there. And it's fun. It really is quite fun. It was an enjoyable process, and I want to do more of it. I don't know when I'll come back to making another adventure game after this one, because it was a lot of work, mostly just writing. It was a lot of writing. There are at least a good couple hundred dad jokes in the game. It's intense. Hold on. There we go. This is not a BBS game. No, this is literally like, if any of you guys, it's like it's an adventure game, point and click adventure game, man. It looks exactly. Hold on. Do I have a link here somewhere? Probably do. I probably do. This is what it looks like. I probably do. Oh yeah, here we are. That's literally, those are screenshots of the game. So there's a toolbar that slides down from the top of the screen when you move the mouse up. So like if you look at that top screenshot, that is me standing in a scene. That goat walking around is an animated goat that walks around and follows you places. It really does. Really walks around. So click on that screenshot. It's not on the video. I put this in the chat. Click on that link I just posted. Or go to lunduke.substack.com and search for Lunduke's Quest. I announced it on April 25th, so just like 2 weeks ago. But it's cool because, I'm using the little look icon, clicking on a cloud, and then it says that's a cloud. Clouds are made up of thousands of tiny Linux servers. Just because. Also, if you want to see me running, scroll down like the third screenshot of the page. You can see me running through the entrance of the nerd stuff. Did you name the goat Stallman? No. So the goat. So there's actually two goats in the game. There's only one in these screenshots, but there's two goats. They're essentially the same with slightly different changes. You can't see the screenshots. Guys, go click on the article. Click on this link. Go click that link. Click that link. There's a couple of screenshots in there. You can see me running in the third screenshot. That's pretty good. But anyway, the goats. No, it's not a Goat Simulator universe. The goats are actually based on my old goats. I had goats many years back. Yeah, it's interactive. It's a full point-and-click adventure game, like King's Quest or Space Quest or Leisure Suit Larry or any of those things. It's a full adventure game. It is, and it's decent. So there's two goats. Actually, the goats have names. They are not named in the game, but their names are Fischl and Fievel. They are the Goatskowitz brothers. Yeah. Fievel and Fischl, Goatskowitz. It is, cannot see the screenshot. When you guys say you can't see the screenshot, are you guys messing with me right now? What do you mean you can't see the screenshot? Go to the website, click it. It's on the screenshot. There's three of them or four of them. Using links. You gotta use a web browser with pictures. I love text mode web browsers, but yeah, they don't do pictures anymore. You cannot see any chat messages about not seeing screenshots. There's a couple of them. It's weird. Anyway. Yeah. So the goats have names. They just kind of wander around. One of the goats does have a role within the game. But apparently Linux does suck for some people who cannot see screenshots. I cannot see screenshots about chat messages. I can't see the chat messages about not seeing chat messages about not seeing the screenshots. Oh, yeah. Inceptroll. Anyway, the game is a lot of fun. I've still got a little bit of work left to do on it. But if I release the game right now, it would be okay. You know what I mean? If I release the game right now, this very moment, I think, I think everyone would play it and be like, that's a pretty good game. That's a fun game. But I really want this one to be great. This is a good game. It's a really good game, and it's really, really goofy. You will have to be a nerd to beat this game. I anticipate that there will be walkthroughs produced for this game very quickly, because there are some things you'll have to do that are related to Linux and Unix. Not joking. You have a Linux powered PDA in the game. With a green screen. It's great. It's like old school Palm OS, in look and feel, but it's a Linux powered fictional PDA I created. So you have to solve some things and do some things with that. There's some really old computers in the game. And you have to actually, for example, there's an Altair in the game. Altairs have switches on them. You got to get some things right. And inside the game has everything you need to figure out how to do everything in the game. So if you don't know anything about using an old Altair or how a Commodore 64 loads its software, you will be able to still play the game because it's all inside the game, but you'll have to work harder at it. If you just intrinsically know all these things, what the switch configurations on the front of an Altair are, or you know how to load software from a Commodore 64, or you know how to do some basic Unix or Linux commands, you would be able to skip some of the harder parts of the game. But then outside from that, there are just some fun parts of the game. There's a lot of dad jokes, a whole lot of dad jokes, a ridiculous amount of dad jokes. Some of them are really good dad jokes. Some of them are some of the most groan-worthy dad jokes you can imagine. I anticipate people playing this and going, "Oh, Londuke," so many times, because it's pretty cheesy, but it's fun. I wanted to make an adventure game that a teenage version of myself would have flipped out over. If I could travel back to, say, 1992 and give myself a copy of this game, I would lose my mind. That's what I wanted, right? Because it's closest in similarity to Space Quest 4. I think if you're looking for a funny game with that style of graphics, and that resolution and everything, Space Quest 4 is probably a good thing, but it's all in my style. It's all the style of my comics, both the graphical style and the tone. Totally family friendly. You could play through the whole thing. There is no violence in the game whatsoever. You cannot die in the game. You never have to start over in the game. It is an extremely unfrustrating game to play. It doesn't mean it's easy. To get to the end, you will have to be a nerd. There is no way to get to the end of this game without being a really significant nerd. But you could sit down and play it with your kids. In fact, it's designed in such a way where, for example, you could put your 12-year-old down and start playing the game. And actually, if you look at the game, the very first scene you start in is that backyard scene, that very first screen that very first screenshot I've got in the article there. That's the first scene you start in the game. And, you can walk around, you can look at things, you can talk to your goat, and then you can move on and start going around the world. And, there's, coffee shops you go to and streets you can walk down, and nerd stuff is a big part of the game. And you go to all these places. And so your 12-year-old could, your 12-year-old is only 7 right now. As long as your 7-year-old couldn't read a little bit, 7-year-old can totally play. That's the key. I mean, some there's some big words in there, but there's nothing inappropriate, and it's all mostly point and click. So your kid can just walk around and have fun and do lots of things with the goats. Very, very family friendly, appropriate things. And yeah, it is. Yeah, your 7-year-old will need the 5th grade extension pack. There are no jokes about Active Directory in the game. There aren't any. I can tell you that right now. There's Linux jokes. There's lots of Linux, Unix, Windows, Mac, blah, blah, blah jokes. There's a lot of dad jokes that are not technical in any way, but are just good dad jokes, just sprinkled throughout. And it's a lot of fun. Can I add some jokes about Active Directory? As much as I love a good Active Directory joke, I think we'll probably not on this one. The game is essentially complete. It needs a little bit of polishing in a couple of spots. I'm thinking, so, Linux Sucks and Londuke Fest is a week from tomorrow. All the slides and everything are done. So I don't... LDAD jokes. Nice. So next week is going to be a new release of Linux Tycoon 3. Linux Tycoon 3 is just a really fun game to putz on. At some point, all of you will have access to the source code. I'll post it up. It won't be too long. And you guys will be like, oh yeah, the source code is so simple. It's just so simple and easy. There's only like 2 or 3 spots of the source code that have any sort of technical trickery or wizardry in it to make it work well. And the rest of it is just dog simple. And it's just so much fun to putz on. So I've got a new update to that coming out next week. And then on the 14th, we'll do Londuke Fest and Linux Sucks and all that stuff. So that'll be a week from tomorrow. After that, I don't know if it's going to be the week after that or the week after that, but I think somewhere in there is when Londuke's Quest should be finished. I'm trying not to force myself to do it as a timed release because I want it to be just right. This is not a game that I want to release a lot of upgrades for. I'm sure all of you will find a bug or two, right? And if that's the case, I'll release like a 1.01 update that just fixes a few of those and just call it. But I want this to be a standalone, done game, right? Like you can point at it and say, this is Londuke's Quest. It's done. And then if I ever make more, it'll just be a new game, a new chapter in the game. It's not gonna be the thing that continually evolves. It is a one and done sort of thing. I suppose it's possible that we could release like bundles of the game, like pre-bundled with ScumVM for different platforms or interpreters for DOS or things like that. But the game itself is not going to change. The 14 gigabyte download will follow 3 weeks later. The game. So Londuke's Quest fits on 2 floppies. Yeah. Fits on 2 floppies. It won't ship on floppies because I don't have access to a lot of floppies, and I've been burned on that in the past. But you absolutely could, and the files are all small enough. You could separate out things and put it onto 2 floppies. So it's about 3 megs, a little less than 3 megs, like 2.5, something like that. And that's all of it. There's no. The sound is all simple sound effects and MIDI files, and the sort of. And then we'll talk more about that when I talk about how this thing's made. And then the graphics, again, because it's all 320 by 200 resolution, 256 color stuff, the artwork just doesn't take up that much space. Are floppies still made even? Yes, they are, but only by a very few small companies and only in small batches. Because there's a lot of industries that still heavily use floppies. Like, for example, a lot of musicians are still using like a Korg Triton 88 key keyboard. Like Billy Joel will still tour with, or those sorts of people still tour with a lot of the Korg Tritons that were made with a 3.5-inch floppy drive on it. And so they use that for storing their settings and their loops and all that sort of thing. And so there are those industries and mechanical industries that still use them. So yeah, exactly. So it is doable to get floppies, but they tend to get pricier and pricier now, and that's no good. Okay. All right, let me click on a few things. I got to click again. This isn't a Londuke live stream unless Londuke's clicking on some stuff. Okay. Well, shooting gosh darn happiness. We are we at 100%? No, we are not at 100% yet. Are we? Gosh, we're close. Holy smokes, we're close, guys. We're close. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna remind everyone of a couple of things real quick. And then I think we're going to not talk about this anymore. What do I need to get to 100? That's actually what I was just trying to figure out, Greg. Doing math during a live stream, there's something about when I get up, like I have these two sides to my brain. So when I was a kid, I've always been like a programmer. Like that's what was like a thing I did that brought me joy. But I was always a kid that got up on stage and, was in shows. Like I was a drama nerd in high school, and after high school, I still did a lot of plays and whatnot. And there's just something about when I get up on stage or get in front of a camera, the part of my brain that can do math and engineering, doink, it's gone. Just like it turns off and checks out. Yeah, exactly. It's just 9 times 3 minus 6, carry the 12, right? Exactly. And my brain is just like, it. No matter how simple the math is, it might as well be gobbledygook. Turn the stream off, and my brain's like, oh, hold on a second. We're gonna go autistic for a little bit, and I'm gonna get really good at math again. It's ridiculous. My brain just works in ridiculous ways that way. So I don't think we need much, but anyway. So I think use your $300 donation to get Londuke to perform Shakespeare. Oh man! So I never did a Shakespeare play. The closest I ever did to a Shakespeare play is a show called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. I played Rosencrantz, which are Shakespearean characters, but not Shakespeare. And it's a comedy. And anyway, it's a good show, but I've never done actual Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. Got good at flipping coins then, did I? I did. I got real good at flipping coins. I got good at flipping coins. I got good at, yes. Greg, yes. Yeah, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. There is, okay, this is the other part of my life. So there is a monologue from that show that people who do stage acting commonly refer to as the dead in a box monologue. And it's where Rosencrantz gets up on stage and starts pontificating about how he doesn't want to be dead inside of a box. And it is one of the most enjoyable things. I like it a lot. Anyway, I did a lot of those. I did a lot of Mamet shows, did a couple of Neil Simon shows, did a lot of musicals. I'm not the best singer in the world, but they put me in a lot of musicals over the years just because of physical stuff. It's a really good show. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is great. That's a great one. That was one of my favorite shows I did. I did The Odd Couple. Neil Simon's The Odd Couple. I played Felix Unger. F-U. That was a good show. Been in a ton of musicals. Anyway. Okay, so explaining the phrase, they put me in a lot of musicals over the years because of physical stuff. So I'm not the world's best singer. I can muddle along, but I'm not the best singer. But where I kind of did well in those things was in some of the more physical comedy, pratfalls, dancing, all that stuff, and I could pull off a lot of those things. And so I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen the show The Fantastics. It's a musical comedy. In The Fantastics, there's this role. There's not only a couple of characters in the play, and there's this role that's a mime. It's just a mime, but this mime is also like half of the set. And so the mime is like, it plays a wall, and the mime is constantly moving. It's this constantly moving character where the actors on stage would be, tossing things behind them and pushing people over and doing stuff. And this mime character would just always have to be there to effortlessly and without even seeming to need to think about it, catch things and move things and juggle things and put things and blah, 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 blah. That sort of thing. And so I ended up being in a variety of shows for those sorts of reasons because I was good at that stuff. And so yeah, I've had a very weird acting career. So I almost went into acting as my thing, but I'm more nerdy than I am as an actor. You know what I mean? Like acting isn't really my deal. Like I was more of like a nerd that wanted to go into writing and maybe a little bit of stand-up. So that's how I ended up here. I ended up writing about nerdy stuff and when I get the chance doing nerdy stand-up. And all right. So we are at oh man, Robin Williams is the best. Oh, Robin Williams is just, he's the king. Robin Williams is great. There's a series of comedians from the 70s and 80s that just, Robin Williams, Andy Kaufman, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, the whole lot of them, just, oh man. Londuke is not hairy enough to be Robin Williams, nor do I have the energy of Robin Williams. That man is the friggin' was the Energizer Bunny. He was unstoppable. Oh man, he was unstoppable. You think I look like a professor, you don't know why. Maybe you've just had really cool professors. Okay. All right. So I don't know exactly what the math is here, but we're definitely, The Jerk is the best movie. I was born a poor black child. Such a good movie. Oh my heavens. I love that movie. Good Morning Vietnam is great too. Yeah. Oh my heavens. Anyway. Jim Carrey's done some good stuff. He's done some less good stuff, but he's done some good stuff. He really has. Okay, so here we are. We are at 90. Shoot, we've got to at least be at 95% of the way there. I don't know. Yes, Alex, please quote me on that. I was born a poor black child. Please feel free. It's funny, but you feel free. Quote me on whatever. I'm not worried about being canceled. I've got all of you crazy cats. There's no company that can swoop in and cancel me. I'm good to go. All right. So we're at over 90%. I think we're over 95% actually. I can't do the math right now, but we're really close. I don't think we're over the 100% of the way. Alex, lol, I'm on your Twitter. I'm aware. I like to push buttons on Twitter. You know, it's funny. I'm not really a button pushing guy. Not really. Like, I know I get a reputation for that a little bit sometimes, but I'm not. There's just certain things that happen when I can't help it. Okay, so maybe I am a little bit of a button pushing guy. Okay. I do like to push buttons. I want to pretend like I'm not a button pushing guy, but I don't like to push most people's buttons, but there's just occasionally someone will come along or some company or some person where I'm like, okay, they need to have their button pushed. You know what I mean? Like, it just needs to happen. And sometimes I can just push their buttons without even referencing them. Like, so here's the thing. If you're ever on Twitter or anywhere else and you see me make a comment and you're like, that's an interesting comment that's just out of the blue for Londuke to make, I am almost always making them directed at either a specific person or a specific company. Every time. And I always think in my head, they're going to read this. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And it always just gets them riled up, even though I don't mention them. And it's, yes. What can I do? What can I do? It's all right, Meat. We're just glad to have you around. We're just kind of hanging out right now. And yes, Blazing Saddles is among my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much. I love Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks did a movie called Silent Movie, which was a silent film with one spoken word in it. And it was great. It was starting with him, Marty Feldman with the crazy eyes. Great movie. The only spoken line in all of Silent Movie from Mel Brooks is it's Marcel Marceau. You got it, Spazzy. Marcel Marceau, the famous mime from France. He's on the phone. No. Slams the phone. Only spoken line. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that so much. No. Oh, what were we talking about? Okay. So we're almost at 100%. This is not, no one feel pressured here. I'm not pressuring anyone because I'm very, very happy. We're in a really good spot right here. But if anyone wants to pick up any of the founding member subscription, I'm just going to remind everyone one last time, the cutoff is midnight. For those three benefits. And then the fourth benefit, the cutoff's kind of midnight because we have another hangout tomorrow, which isn't even a mandatory. You can just show up if you want to, or you could, if you can get it done, if you can get a subscription in before the hangout, I might be able to get you a link in time. But if you get it to me by midnight, it's for sure. So it's the credits for Linux Sucks 2022, the end credits thing. If you like the Linux Sucks show, it might be worth it for you, right? And that just to put it out there, you get immortalized in a Linux Sucks show. That's kind of fun. There's a very distinct possibility I may make fun of some people's names. This could happen. It'll be good-natured. Also, if you want to be in the credits for Londuke's Quest, which it doesn't come out for a couple of weeks, but the way I'm doing the credits, I'm going to need a little bit of extra time. There's some animation involved and whatnot. So I need those in by midnight, and then I'm going to reach out to people to verify how they want their name displayed and all that sort of thing. And then the Linux Tycoon 3, the OS Wars, that's much easier because it's just ANSI art. I'm just putting together an ANSI art screen that will be inside the game. And that comes out next week. So I have plenty of time as long as I get that in by tonight at midnight. So if anyone wants that, again, I'm going to move my drink. I have a drink right here in the front of my keyboard, and I'm just flirting with absolute disaster and calamity. Boink. I would like you to use the pseudonym Gurgles McFuss Budget rather than my real name. I'm going to be clear with you, Greg. If you don't dispel that notion now, that will happen. I will put it in however you guys want. Oh, dude, DSFASF, however you guys want to be in the credits is how you will be in the credits. That is how that is going to work. Your real name, a pseudonym, your web URL, a domain name. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. If anybody's watched Void Star on YouTube, the credits are hilarious. Great idea in the credits. I never have. I'll put it on my list. All right, where we go? I consider my name fair game. You got it, Ryan Marsh. Left a comment on Substack, but since I'm here, how do we let you know to use our name and credits, etc.? Or are you just defaulting to include them for everyone? So, I've already talked to some of you about this, but I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow morning to everyone who's a founding member, the whole kit and caboodle. So that's why there's a cutoff tonight. So tomorrow morning, I'll send out an email. That'll include all the details. So what do you want your name to show up as? So in the credits for the 2 games and Linux Sucks, whatever you want it to be listed as is totally fine. Marco wants to be called Richard Stallman. Maybe. Anyway, that kind of broke my brain for a second. And then you guys will have a couple of days to get back to me. Preferably if everyone can get back to me by let's say Tuesday, with how they want their name to show up. That'll give me enough time to get all of that in. Because then I've got a couple of days to get all the stuff put together. Is Stallman litigious? No, he's really not. Stallman is a surprisingly not litigious guy. He really isn't. He likes to guilt trip people. He's not Sue happy, at least he doesn't strike me as such. Anyway, so those are the things happening. So Londuke's Quest, Linux Tycoon 3, and Linux Sucks 2022 credits, and then tomorrow's founding member hangout. All of those have hard cutoff tonight. If you want to become a founding member, I think I put the link in there. There's the link. Feel free to clickety and go for all of that. If you just want to see Linux Sucks and all that, you can just get the regular membership. And again, on any of the sites that you want at all. Patreon, Substack, locals. It's all wonderful. It's all wonderful. So rock and roll. GNU plus guilt trip. It really is how he works, man. GNU/guilt trip. No. GNU/guilt trip, or as I've taken to recently calling it, GNU plus guilt trip. You gotta get that all in there. Stallman totally stands up for what he believes in. He totally does. Oh, he totally does, but he does guilt trip people. Ryan Thunderdome Marsh. Yes. Okay, to be very clear, if you want to include a really cool nickname in the middle of your name, like Thunderdome, I will absolutely include that happily. Please feel free, especially if it's Thunderdome. If 10 people have the nickname Thunderdome, I'm not going to object to that. That's going to make me smile. So whatever you guys want to do there is absolutely fine. Just make sure you get the subscription in. I know a lot of you already have by midnight if you want it. And don't forget to reply to me. So for those in-game credits, I am not going to include people unless they specifically say they want it. I will ask. And if I don't hear back from anyone, I'll follow up with them again, just to make sure it doesn't get lost into the oblivion or whatnot. And I'll do my best to make sure I get a hold of everyone. I should just put Spartacus for everyone. I mean, here's the thing. I could just put Thunderdome or Spartacus for everybody, or I could come up with nicknames for everyone myself. But I feel like, I don't know, there's something fun about people being able to choose their own. And I kind of want to see what people come up with. And I kind of want to see how people want to be referred to. Greg, not the French house musician, Wisconsin heart surgeon, or Napa Valley Wine Center. I like it. Everyone should just prepend meat to their names. Okay, meat. What's the deal with the name, buddy? I gotta know where did that start? Where did the meat thing start for you? Give me the details. Inso says guilt trip people, or Stallman just won't give in to any attempt at bargaining with the moral first principles he is putting forth. Okay. All right. So here's gravy. Okay. I get it. So here's the thing. Stallman totally guilt trips people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I know guilt tripping people, that has a negative connotation. Let me take a sip. I know it has a negative connotation, but, and honestly, it is kind of negative, but it's what he does, and he has his views, and you're right, he has his moral principles, and he sticks to them. And he doesn't negotiate on them. And you're right about that. He doesn't negotiate on them. If he just stopped right there, I wouldn't call it guilt tripping, but he does guilt trip people. He actively seeks out people and talks about how they are denying people freedom or being unethical, and he kind of guilt trips them a little bit. He tries to make people feel guilty. And sometimes sometimes it is effective. Sometimes it's not effective, and it just makes people grumpy. It kind of goes all over the map. So his tactics could use some improvement. But it's how he goes about it. It's how he's chosen to go about it. And if we're all being honest, we have to admit that it's had a certain level of success, right? He's had some effect on the industry as a whole and the culture as a whole. I mean, it's an impact. I mean, how many people know who Richard Stallman is and can point to the things that he's done and things that he's accomplished? I mean, it's a ton. So, yeah. There is nothing wrong with proprietary software. I'm just going to put that out there. I agree as well. I've told Richard that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing unethical with proprietary software inherently. I wildly prefer open source and free software. Wildly do. But inherently, I mean, software is just software. Just because you don't have access or I don't have access to the source code for something doesn't make it bad. It can, however, make it inconvenient. It can, however, make it so it can't live up to its full potential. And it can, if you have the source code available, that can be in so many ways better. But it doesn't necessarily make something not having the source code available bad. Now, there can be closed source software that is used and built for nefarious purposes. Well, that's no good, but that's not necessarily because it's closed source. It's just because it's evil by itself. So JP dashes, it's not so much guilt trip as it is bring attention to things I don't like. Since he has a large following, things happen. So okay, I want to be clear about this. Most of the time when Richard Stallman talks about, having the source code available and the licensing of the source and all that sort of thing, it's not a guilt trip, right? It's him bringing attention to it. However, he does engage in the guilt trippiness, especially when you're talking one-on-one. Man, he just guilt trips people. I've seen him do it so many times, and he lays it on thick. Like, I mean, he's unstoppable. He's an unsufferable guy when it comes to just guilt tripping people for not just using proprietary software or making proprietary software or doing business with companies that make proprietary software. Like, he guilt trips like nobody's business. He guilt trips like an insert religion here mom. He's unstoppable. He just is. And again, I'm not going to attack Richard for doing that. He's spreading his message, and he has his way of doing it. I've told him that I don't think some of his strategies make a whole lot of sense, but, it's cool. It's cool. Ryan, that's cool. I'm Catholic, so I'm inoculated with an inordinately high baseline guilt. Yeah, I understand. I understand completely. Stallman and his people are the I don't know what the JWS of the program. I don't know what that means. Edward explained. I just don't know what that acronym means. Jesus weeps every time you turn on your Android phone. Nowadays it makes it so it's 100% Jehovah's Witness. So yeah, he likes to. I got you now. Do you have a moment to talk about Vim, our savior? No, he's Saint Ignatius, man. Oh man. I do like that he was willing to do his Saint Ignatius thing for me during, was that 2016 Linux Sucks? I think that was the 2016 one. But like I said, he was really cool. I don't know if I ever told you guys about how that went down. Because when for the 2016 Linux Sucks, we had those video cameos from Stallman. Excuse me, I need more drink. From Stallman, Cory Doctorow, the writer, Whitehurst, who was then the CEO of Red Hat, and Piers Anthony, the fantasy author and sci-fi author. And Jim Whitehurst was super easy. I reached out to Red Hat marketing and Jim, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do some cameos in the next Linux Sucks, and do you want to be in it? And they were like, yes, and they just did it. And I asked them, I gave them kind of the general outline of, can you guys go ahead and just do one thing where you're like, Linux is terrible, and then another thing that like, okay, Linux is really good, right? That's it. Otherwise, you guys can come up with whatever you want to say. And the Red Hat guys were great. They sent me so much video. I had a hard time picking from it because I only had a few moments to include it all. But they did a great job on it, right? And same with Cory Doctorow. I asked Cory Doctorow to do it, and Cory Doctorow was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he sent me these tiny little clips that were literally like, Linux sucks. Linux is great. And that's all he did, right? It was just this super simple little thing. I'm like, all right, well, he did it. That's cool. And then I reached out to Stallman. And when I reached out to Stallman was like, because we knew each other at that point. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. Let's do it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, can you provide me with a script? And I'm like, you know what? Sure. Because for him, the whole idea was he was going to do his Saint Ignatius character, and he was going to appear behind me, and he was going to be like, Brian. And I can't remember what he said, but he was going to say something behind me. And originally, he was going to appear behind me, and I sent him this script. It was a short little script where he made fun of me, right? And we had a couple of jokes written where he was going to make fun of me. And we had this back and forth thing where I was going to be standing in front of the screen, and he was going to be making fun of me, and I was going to like respond, and he was going to respond back to me, and we're going to time out the video, right, and all that. And Stallman wouldn't do it. He's like, I would never make fun of another grown person this way. This is not what I would do. And I'm like, oh, well, it's really okay. It's okay, Richard. You can make fun of me. Like, I'm writing these jokes about myself. Like, I probably have the script somewhere. And I'm like, it's okay, Richard. You can make fun of me. Say these jokes about me. Just make fun of me. It'll be fantastic. The audience will love it and eat it up. And he's like, no, I won't do that, Brian. I would never speak to someone this way. And I had to stop because I'm like, what do I do about this? Because on the one hand, he was being really sweet. He was like, so Richard Stallman was like, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to make fun of you. I would never do that to a person. I'm like, well, that's great. I'm like, I love that. It's beautiful. And then, there we go. No alerts. But on the other hand, Linux sucks. That it was kind of a comedy bit we were doing, right? I'm like, if I take out the making fun of me part, we lose part of the joke. And so we went back and forth for several weeks before we got it to a script that he was willing to read. And so Stallman, I sent it to him, and then Richard Stallman sends me the video clip back. And it wasn't exactly what we were going for, but it took so long to get a version going. We just had to roll with it. But to his credit, though, he did it and he jumped at it, and it was great. Now, Piers Anthony was interesting. Getting Piers Anthony on board to do that was super easy. Super nice dude. So Piers Anthony, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but he is a diehard Linux user and has been since like the 90s. Most of his novels since like the late 90s onward have been written on a Linux machine. Incarnations of Immortality is an amazing series. I couldn't agree more. He's written some truly amazing books. Anyway, so I found out about that. And so I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, Piers, would you be willing to do this? And he had seen my videos. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Xanth was great up to about book 6. I still read Xanth through like book like 12 or 13, but yeah. So he was like, yeah, I'll totally do that. I'm like, you will? That's amazing, man. Thank you. And he's like, what do you want me to say? And I'm like, you know what? You're Piers Anthony, man. You choose your words. You choose the words you want to say. I gave him the outline of, say something about how bad Linux is and then have a follow-up about how great Linux is. That was the whole thing, right? And he's like, all right, I got it. And a couple of days go by, and I get an email from Piers Anthony, and he's like, hey, we recorded something. How do you want me to give you the video? And I'm like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, I gave him like a couple of options of ways that he could upload it, but he lives in Florida, right? And he lives kind of in a rural area of Florida. He literally lives in the swamps of Florida. He really does. And he didn't have, at that point, very good internet connection. And so he's like, can I just send you a thumb drive? And I'm like, absolutely. We had plenty of time, because Piers Anthony was one of the first ones to get me the video, his video. And he lives in Xanth. So then a couple days later, I get a package in the mail from Piers Anthony. And I mean, I'm a nerdy kid that read a lot of nerdy books. Getting a package in the mail from Piers Anthony, oh my heavens, I was over the moon. Like I was giddy for a long time. So I open up this package, and I peek inside of it, and I peek inside, and it's got a thumb drive, and it had the video clip on it, and then inside of it was just this big sheet of paper with a note that Piers wrote to me about it, and it was really sweet. Maybe I'll share it sometime, man, it was a kind of a big deal for me. Piers Anthony, man. He's Piers Anthony. For a fantasy nerd, getting a personal note with a thumb drive with a personal video clip from Piers Anthony. I mean, that was holy heavens. Getting it on a floppy disk would have been killer. Maybe I'll share that. I have a picture somewhere because I scanned in the note that he sent me, and I tucked the letter he gave me away in a in a keepsake box, along with the original thumb drive. It was amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I got into Piers Anthony when I was, oh gosh, yeah, I would probably have been around the 8th grade, maybe 7th, 8th grade. So I would have been, 12, 13 years old, something like that. And it was a perfect, at least you didn't ask George R.R. Martin for one you'd be waiting for it 10 years from now. What file system was the thumb drive under? I think it was just a fat thumb drive. It was, I think it was just fat. I don't remember exactly, but it probably was. So Piers Anthony, does all of his writing under Linux. He had, and not just Linux, old Linux. So he had this old Red Hat Linux box, like a big PC tower he built. And he used that as his writing machine for like a decade or more. And if I remember correctly, when I was talking to him, he finally got like a new computer to write on with a new version of Linux. But he had like old Red Hat with like maybe early GNOME 2, late GNOME 1, and that was what he ran. And he's just like, it's fine. I spend very little time on the internet with it. And so he's like, I'm not too worried about it. I'll just turn off updates because it doesn't get updates anymore. No big deal. And it's great. And then I think what he did is he'd take that and he'd move files around off of it. I think, I don't remember the details. It must have been a late enough machine because he gave me I think the thumb drive came from his wife's machine. I don't remember the details. I kept all the emails because it's Piers Anthony. But oh man, that was a big deal for me. See, at that point in time, like I'd already known Stallman for quite a few years. I'd already known Cory Doctorow for a few years, and Whitehurst, I'd somewhat known. We didn't really know each other a lot. We just knew of each other. But Piers Anthony was like one of those childhood moments, right? I mean, like I might as well practically be like talking to like Ben Bova or Isaac Asimov or something like that. It was a big moment. It was a big moment for me. So that was a big thing. I haven't seen the early Stallman interviews, but as an autistic guy with an autistic wife and autistic kids, I know autism. And Stallman, I'd bet money. Oh, Stallman's totally autistic. Yeah. 100%. And it's just, he just is. Yeah. He's an autistic guy. What's interesting with Stallman though is, yeah, he's autistic, but the way his personality is, aside from that, kind of almost amplifies those traits. You know what I mean? Like it really just kind of ramps it up in him, and it just makes him so much more public because of it. If I could meet like 3 people, it would be Londuke, Benno Rice, and Stallman. So let's see. Stallman's cool. I'm meetable and cool. I've never met Benno, but I know he doesn't like me. I said some things, and it made him cranky. What can you do? I offered a good hug. Yeah, $300 and Londuke is yours. I'm cheap. My Piers Anthony would be R.L. Stine, author of Goosebumps. That would be cool too. That would be totally cool. I didn't get into the Goosebumps books a lot. I read a few of them because one of my younger sisters was really into them. I was really, really, really into them. If Londuke Fest is ever in person, meeting shouldn't be that big of a deal. Yeah. So here's the plan. Here's the plan right now. So if things go well for Londuke Fest, and I have high hopes, I have hopes. Let's put it that way. It's going to be a great show no matter what. But if things go well and everyone enjoys it and it all kind of goes well, we're gonna do an in-person one with a live streamed component. It would be a ways out. It wouldn't be like a quick thing. Like we wouldn't turn around and be like, okay, Londuke Fest next month. It would be like the next year, and we'll give people lots of lead time, and we would pick a city. It would probably be in North America or somewhere Western Europe, but most of the audience is North America. So probably North America, and we'd pick a spot that's really cheap to fly in and out of, like Dallas, Fort Worth, or Orlando, or one of the big city hubs that's just like really cheap to get round trip tickets to from other places, and we'll do an in-person one. Yeah, exactly. Do one in New York or something. Chicago is a possibility. So we have a list of a couple places because we were looking into renting a conference area and all that, and what the plan. So this actually got a fair ways into it, and I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but my wife and I spent some time really kind of digging into this and researching, and the idea was this. We'd rent out a portion of a conference center. It wouldn't be some big crazy one because we weren't looking to have, a 10,000 person event or anything like that. But it was going to be, if I really wanted to live dangerously, Portland. Nope. Portland is out. It would probably not be on the West Coast. It would probably be more towards the center of the country or the East Coast. What we were going to do is we were going to have a hall of arcades. We started looking around in Orlando was where we first started looking. And we found that we could get, let's say, like a whole weekend of a conference center pretty dirt cheap if we also do people staying at the hotel as a thing, and then those rates were pretty cheap too. So then what we would do is we would have one hall that was old arcade equipment, and in the back like old computer equipment, right? So we'd basically be like a retro computing and retro video gaming thing. And we found, at least in the Orlando area, a series of collectors. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Video Arcade Preservation Society, but it's basically a website and an organization, very loosely knit organization where people talk about and catalog their specific, vintage arcade equipment and the like. And because of my collection and me talking with a lot of people, I already knew a few folks in the general region between Orlando and like Tampa and that whole area. And we would have we'd have a room for all those equipment, and then we would have a room next to it for a constant stream of shows that would just be going on, presentations that people could give. Obviously, I would do a number of shows, and then other people could come in and give shows on anything from various types of retro computing, retro gaming, Linux, Unix, alternative operating systems, the whole shebang, right? And then we would have some fun events and some video game tournaments for some older video games things, and just make a full weekend of it and just have a really good time. That was kind of the plan. That's the plan for Londuke Fest when it goes in person, and then we'll also live stream it. And the thought for the live stream is we put a camera going on 24 not 24/7, but as long as the show's going on the arcade room, live stream out the presentation hall and all that, and that way people can enjoy it from home too. That was the thought. Okay. Whoa, this has been incredibly successful. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us. So we're still not at the 100%. We haven't really moved it up since we were at 90. Let's say 95%. I don't know. I'll after I'm off stream, I'll sit down and I'll go over and really like figure out exactly where it's all at. But it's somewhere in there, somewhere in there's abouts. So if anyone wants to hop in, and hop on any of those subscriptions or the founding member things, that'll set us over the 100. If not, I'm sure some new subscriptions will come in over the course of the day anyway. And I think we're going to get to that. I think we're going to get to 100% come the end of the day, no matter what. But regardless, deadline's tonight at midnight. If you guys want to get in on those cool things, those cool perks, this is it. I really can't extend the deadline past that, not even if you ask nicely, because I just won't have time to make it happen. Can I get a free 1 year if I get Richard Stallman to subscribe? Huh. Okay. I mean, maybe. Richard Stallman, yeah, he's not going to subscribe. Yeah, go tell Richard to subscribe to my thing, and then we'll talk. I wonder if the Arcade Cafe is still in Seattle, where David Lightman was playing that time in War Games. No. Gosh, that was such a good movie. What was the high school that he went to? The high school in War Games. Okay. So here's the deal. So the high school in War Games is Snohomish High School, but it's not really Snohomish High School. So that's what I had to look up real quick. It's actually, the filming location was in California. It's El Segundo High School in California where they filmed it. But it's Snohomish High School is where it takes place in War Games, which was about 15 minutes from where I went to high school and where my wife went to high school, outside of Snohomish, Washington. It was great. Yeah, War Games was great. War Games was great. What a great movie. They did film some of the stuff up there. I mean, they filmed some stuff up there, but the high school and whatnot, that was all in California. El Segundo. All right. What platform does Richard Stallman use to subscribe to things? He doesn't. He just doesn't. Brian, I'm meaning to ask you if you've ever met Steve Wozniak. No. I met Jobs. I mean, I never really got to sit down and just talk with him, but I've met Jobs. But Steve Wozniak, I've never even met. I've been at the same event as Wozniak, but I never got a chance to meet him. Never did. Would have been great. I would have loved that. I would have been so nervous. I would have just been like a nervous little fangirl. Oh my goodness, that would have been great. No, Stallman's not going to buy an online subscription to my stuff. He's not going to buy. If Stallman wants to read my stuff, he's just going to ask me for it. I'm going to tell him yeah, but he's not going to ask. Woz does his own stuff. Like, Woz gets involved in like weird companies here and there, like little startups and whatnot. Like, he gets involved in those. So he's like still around, but he doesn't, he's not involved like he was. Once things got weird on the Apple II team, and after Woz checked out and left, he really hasn't been in computing quite in the same way since then. Which is kind of a bummer in a way. I mean, he's been in things. He's invested in companies, and he sat, I don't know if it's officially on boards or just as like an advisor to companies quite a few times. But yeah, if I do a print version, you should send him a free copy. Maybe. See, Richard's one of those guys. You know how he's going to react to things. You just always do. Interview Wozniak. Do it. I should at some point. It is on my list of people I really need to make sure I interview eventually. I hope I get the opportunity. I should reach out to him at some point. I'd love a print version. The smell of Linux. What an article that would make. We just did a poll over on the Londuke.locals.com to see what people were thinking about a print version, I don't know. I don't know if we'll do a print version anytime soon or not. I did find a company that could handle the print in a way I'd like. So that's like step one. And then if there's enough people that want it, we can do, single batches. I don't think I'm going to do like one-off sales. Like I don't think there will be like a store set up where people can go in and say purchase an issue one at a time. So, feel free to vote on that poll. I think it's still going, Alex. Or you can just comment on it. It's a very non-binding thing. Really, at this point, I'm just kind of gauging what people want. It's a little bit hard because, you don't want the price to be crazy high. But on the other hand, I don't do the advertising. You know what I mean? And that's normally how magazines get so cheap. Like, you print a full color magazine with, good quality, images and all that sort of thing. And yeah, Mr. Slim, we were waiting for you. We were going to sign off, but we need to wait for him to come back from lunch, man. But because of not having advertisements to offset the cost, in order to do decent quality color prints, to get like the screenshots and the images looking good, the cost gets kind of high. I think that was it the cheapest I could figure out how to do. Was it like 10 or 15 bucks, something like that was the cheapest I could figure out how to make it work. And in order to do that, we'd need a bulk purchase. And it doesn't need to be a huge bulk, but it needs to be a bulk purchase. So that's why I did the poll. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know what we'll do there. If we don't do any sort of regular Londuke Journal print edition, I think what we might end up doing, just do a 320 by 200 magazine. I think what we might end up doing is taking a lot of the stuff that I release, like the satirical articles in the quarterly, the joke book, the history book, maybe just a whole bunch of it, smash it all together into one big like hardback like omnibus, like Londuke Omnibus #1, right? Just like a big 500 page hardback thing, and it would be a much more expensive book, but those we might be able to do like a once in a blue moon, sort of a thing. It's not something that we're going to be doing right now, but it would be pretty cool. A pixel art e-zine actually would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome. Londuke the musical. Oh, did you guys, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there is a play that was written and produced about Gary Kildall and digital research, and Stuart Chaffee was involved with it, and I never found out where it went, and I never got a copy of the script. I really want that. I want a copy of that. I don't want a play about Gary Kildall. It blows my mind. That blows my mind that would be a thing. Anyway, okay. Let's wrap up. For now. This has been fun. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for being so awesome all the time. I love you guys. And thank you guys for helping us get to the almost 100% mark. I think the next subscription that comes in, I think pretty much of any size, is going to probably push it over the line. We're really close. We're like at 90 something %. So thank you, everyone. You hang up, Roofy. No, stop it, you guys, stop it. All right. I got a few articles to go write. I got a few things to finish up here today, but this was fun. It's nice to hang out with you guys from time to time. And I'm glad we're back to doing regular live streams and shows like this. And I'm super psyched. I'm super psyched about doing the live shows a week from tomorrow. Oh, I know they're not in person. Boy, I would love it in person. I miss being able to break bread and shake hands and take pictures with all you guys. It's so much fun, but we'll get back to that at some point. You're hanging up now. Bye, Spazzy. Anyway, I really do appreciate everything. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the awesomeness. I appreciate the niceness and kindness. I appreciate all the nerdy stuff you guys post about over on Locals and everything. I love it all. I love all of it. All right, I'm gonna head off into the abyss. I'm probably gonna go grab a little lunch, make some sandwiches up, and see how the kids are doing on their final day of school for the week. I think they're going to have a quiet day today because they're ahead of the game. I got 3 kids. They're homeschooling right now, and they're set to be like finished with all the curriculum we laid out for them in like the next week or two. So they're a little ahead of where they need to be at. So I think they're going to take it kind of easy today. It's kind of a way to high five themselves for being good kids. And yeah. All right, everybody. I'm going to head off. Hope you all have a great day. Go remind people to go subscribe to things so I get over 100%. I think we just need one. And I'll see you guys round the bend later, everybody. I'm going to click a button now.